Hello, welcome to Tales of a Time Lord. This is a rather different video. This is about the missing episodes that have just recently been found. I'm going to give you a basic beginner's guide as to what the missing episodes mean, what these particular episodes are and how you can view them. I was planning on doing this video a bit later on in the series, but needs must, this was an unexpected arrival. So yeah, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know, what this means and how you can get involved. So first off, what are missing episodes? Basically, in the 1960s, tape was a lot more expensive than anything else to the media. So keeping tapes that were unlikely to be reshown was not a financially stable decision. Therefore, when shows like Doctor Who in their infancy in the 1960s weren't expected to have any longevity, they just appeared on the TV and disappeared. The tapes tended to be rewritten or sold elsewhere because the monetary value of the tape was worth more than the programme that was filmed onto it. Therefore, quite a lot of the 1960s was either written over or replaced with other material that was more pertinent at the time to be shown, for example in the 1970s. This means that there are quite a lot of missing episodes in the 1960s. Now, since then, some of them were recovered and kept in the archives. A lot of them were rewritten onto slightly less expensive tapes, made copies of, things such as this, and a lot of them were sold abroad. So, for example, when Doctor Who started to get more popular, they wanted to appeal to overseas markets, so they would send tapes to places like Australia, or they might rewrite them onto less expensive tapes and sell them to be watched in America, China, all over the place. And these are often where missing episodes are recovered. In other words, the master tape has gone, but a copy of it is available elsewhere. In previous times, these tapes have been recovered, such as in 2004, and notably for the 50th anniversary in 2013. Episodes such as Enemy of the World or The Web of Fear have been recovered, but still 97 episodes are missing, comprising of 13 stories, and 2 of these have recently been discovered. So I'm now going to take you through which episodes were discovered before I tell you exactly how, just to give you that basic information. The 2 episodes recovered are the Daleks Master Plan, Part 1 and Part 3, titled The Nightmare Begins and The Devil's Planet. If you imagine that Doctor Who is series, then serials, and then episodes. So contained within a series, you have different plots, they're serials or stories, and those stories consist of individual episodes. So for example, if you think of Series 10 of Doctor Who, Modern Doctor Who, Series 10, you might have the Monks Trilogy, which is a 3-parter in the centre, and that Monks Trilogy is comprised of Extremis, Pyramids at the End of the World, and Light of the Land. That's essentially how this works. So what has been found are the mid-series part of Season 3, the Daleks Master Plan, 2 of the episodes comprising that, Part 1 and Part 3. Now previously, in 2004 I believe it was, Part 2, 5 and 10 of this story were discovered. It is a 12-part story in total, which means we now have 5 parts out of that 12. We have 1, 2, 3, 5 and 10 out of the 12-part story. If you're wishing to watch this story in total, there is a prequel story that was aired as part of the previous story called Mission to the Unknown. If you wish to watch this before episode 1, it's not vital, but it does have some elements that lead into the Daleks Master Plan. There is a reconstruction by some university students, which was endorsed by the BBC and aired on the YouTube channel, so if you wish to watch this YouTube reconstruction beforehand, that might give you some information leading into Nightmare Begins, but it's not vital to the storyline. The episodes will be made available, according to the BBC website, on the 4th of April on the iPlayer, and there will be a preview screening of it at London. These have already been aired to the surviving cast member Peter Purves, who did a private screening earlier this week, and they will now be available to the public at a screening. We're not entirely sure when and where, but it says that it will be the same date that they arrive on the iPlayer, which has been named as the 4th of April. So to give some brief background information on how these episodes were recovered, I'm going to put some links in the description as to where I got this information so you can read it at your own pleasure. So as I said, episodes that were not expected to be repeated on the BBC would be erased or sold elsewhere. Most notably at this period of time to Australia. A lot of the tapes were essentially filmed over again onto a cheaper copy tape. So as if you're basically making a YouTube video like this, you might record it on your phone, and then the copy that's on your phone you'd send somewhere else and erase the video. That's essentially the modern version of doing this. I'll go more in depth in later videos, but that's basically the concept. So these tapes will be sold to Australia, America, China, wherever would like to air Doctor Who, and Doctor Who might profit from this. And then the master tape would be destroyed and used for a more popular, more current programme in the 1970s. However, the Daleks Master Plan didn't get this treatment because Australia deemed the serial too violent and therefore didn't have any resale value. And with television moving into colour in the 1970s, black and white TV wasn't in vogue anymore. So the Daleks Master Plan was presumed particularly to be a difficult one to recover because it didn't get this treatment. However, somebody at the BBC created a copy in order to basically create an advert or a pitch to future resales. So they would say, here is the serial, this is what it looks like if you wanted to air it, and thus this never happened, but that copy that this editor made still exists, and this is what was found by the Film is Fabulous recovery team. So, what is the Daleks Master Plan? Obviously this hasn't been viewed since 1965, but there are telesnaps reconstructing it, there are fan animations, so I have myself seen this story a number of times, particularly in my recent rewatch, so it's fairly fresh in my memory. Essentially, the Doctor lands on the planet Kemble with Stephen Taylor, who has been knocked out by the previous story, and there is a new companion, Katerina, who has just joined them in the previous week. The Doctor, Stephen and Katerina arrive on the planet Kemble. And on this planet, the Daleks are creating a board of villains that they wish to take over the universe. The representative of Earth and the solar system is Mavic Chen. And basically, the Daleks are creating a consortium of villains from all over the universe that they wish to create a sort of parliament of evil across the whole world. Something like a board of peace, if you like. Mavic Chen has been tasked with finding a particularly rare element, which he hopes to use in order to create sort of a bomb, a death device that will kill all of the species. He delivers this element to the Daleks in this board of aliens, and the Doctor arrives on this planet intending to take this element and basically run away with it to stop the bomb being made. And thus begins the Daleks Master Plan, which is a chase along space and time, different planets, different species, as the Doctor tries to stop the Daleks getting their hands on this device. It also features Nicholas Courtney as Brett Yvonne. Nicholas Courtney would go on to be a firm regular of the series, becoming the Brigadier in Unit. In the second Doctor's era, and then the third, fourth and fifth, he appears as a quite regular character. This is his first appearance in the show, as a different character, Brett Yvonne, but this will be the first appearance of Nicholas Courtney in the Doctor Who universe, so it's quite a momentous moment for this piece of film to be recovered. The best way to watch this serial, I would recommend, as I say, is to watch the Mission to the Unknown, which is the Doctor Light prequel story, which has been recreated. There is then the new story, The Nightmare Begins, Part 1. There is Part 2, which was previously recovered. Part 3, The Devil's Planet, which is newly recovered. And then, if you wish to, Part 5 is also existing, so you could do Part 4 as a telesnap reconstruction or find an animation out there. There are ways to sort of view it in reproduction form. So you could do Part 1 to 5 in sequence with the prequel and make it a 6-parter, if you wish to do so. But yeah, this is an early Easter present. It will be available on the iPlayer, and I hope you all enjoy. I hope that you take in what a momentous occasion this is. This is the first time this story will have been watched in its entirety in proper format since 1965. This is a big moment for Doctor Who fans. If you have any more questions about missing episodes, I would personally watch Josh Snare's YouTube channel. He is very, very good at in-depth discussions on missing episodes, far more in-depth than I am, so follow the Just Shares YouTube channel. Subscribe to my channel, leave me any comments below about this momentous discovery. I'd love to hear your views on it, and I will see you next time.